2019 is the year I pledged to play through the Castlevania franchise and record my journey through these vlogs, culminating in one big video review at the end. And now for my 9th entry, I take on the critically acclaimed Symphony of the Night. Welcome back to the Castlevania Diaries. Holy shit, this series, this challenge, oh my god, I'm getting a lot of emotions. There's a lot happening in my progression here. Last episode, Rondo of Blood, top tier. How can you beat Rondo of Blood? Symphony of the Night, destroy my whole chart. So yeah, of course we're going to be talking about Symphony of the Night today. The first Metroidvania game in the franchise, and from what I hear, this is probably everyone's favorite Castlevania game. And what a different game it is. I'm just going to say it right now. I don't even feel that it's fair to say it takes Rondo of Blood's place, because it just knocks out the entire Castlevania ladder. And technically it does, because it's a whole different genre. So you've got all the Castlevania games I've played up to date on this ladder with Rondo of Blood at the top. And Symphony of the Night is coming in. It's like, where do I go here? I don't really fit. I'm way better than this. It's like comparing a taco, Symphony of the Night is a taco against all these hamburgers. And all these hamburgers taste pretty delicious, except for these bottom ones, which, some of them are not so good, not so seasoned. But Rondo of Blood is like the best burger you can get. You can't say this taco is better than this burger and say that's fair. By the way, if you like all this food talk, you should totally check out Hey Jay Eats. Anyways, Symphony of the Night, fantastic game. Really loved it. In fact, the first night that I streamed it, I could not stop, and I ended up going to bed at 1 a.m. and the next day at work. It was pretty brutal. Don't do that. I got addicted. Took me 10 hours. I 100%ed the game. I almost have a platinum trophy because I played it on the PS4. The only thing I'm missing is I have to rack up a ton of money to buy something. I forget what I have to buy. I have to buy a ridiculous... Oh, I have to buy an item duplicator, which is a ridiculous amount of money. So that's just going to be a huge time grind, time sink that I'm going to do on my own. I'm not going to stream that. And I have to go through the whole castle as Richter to get my other trophy, and then I get the platinum medal. So I might do my playthrough as Richter on stream after we go through the whole franchise. We come back, we do these fun things. So Symphony of the Night, a direct sequel to Rondo of Blood, which I love. I love the fact that now we're getting some continuation, because every time we're going 100 years in the future, 100 years in the past, now boom, we're together and we fast forward into, I think, 7 years. The little pink girl now is like a grown woman, Maria, of course. This is my favorite genre, so I'm a little bit biased. I love Metroidvanias, and the fact that I to see the roots of, the reason it's called Metroidvania, Metroid, Castlevania, I put it together, Metroidvania. To see the roots of a Metroidvania is just fantastic. And it's funny because I played another indie game shortly after my Symphony of the Night run, and I saw all the cues. I'm like, oh man, this is where they got all the ideas. The soundtrack, it's not quite as epic, but it's atmospheric. It's appropriate. It's great. Like, this is music I could just chill and listen to. Gone are the Belmonts. Bring in Alucard, which it took a little bit of getting used to. You've got a shorter sword to deal with versus the whip. So it's a little bit of a different mechanic, but it's a different game too. Exploring the castle was freaking fun. I loved it. What I didn't like so much is being used to modern Metroidvanias. Usually when you find a boss, you get an item or an upgrade. I felt that in this one, Symphony of the Night, the way that the items were laid out across the castle didn't necessarily make sense. And in fact, I did get lost a few times because I couldn't find an item like the bat transformation to get to where I needed to. And I kept running into bosses, killing them, only to get a health or heart upgrade. And I was like, WTF, I'm so used to fighting a boss and you get a progression upgrade. So that was the one takeaway, and the one thing I would knock Symphony of the Night for. That part was a little disappointing. It kind of took away the spirit of fighting a boss. You want to get that sense of accomplishment. Oh, I just beat this big badass boss, and now I'm actually the stronger thing. No, you just get a health upgrade, which kind of sucked. They introduced level up in this game. I loved leveling up. At one point, some of you guys were saying I was a little OP'd, and it wasn't so fun to watch because I was just destroying everything. To those viewers, I say if you really want to see me struggle, take a look at the last 8 streams of Castlevania games where I'm crying and getting thumb blisters because the games are too hard. Okay? To be fair though, I did get the secret super awesome sword that I forget the name of, that you just go like, and then everything in front of you dies, and you can actually run while making that sound. Super cheap move, and I only used it to kind of blast through this game because it is a 10-hour game, and we got a lot more Metroidvanias coming up from what I hear. So yeah, when I fought Dracula, it was kind of a humiliating defeat to Dracula. I basically just spammed the sword in his face for 30 seconds and I won. It is cool that you have multiple endings. So the first time I did beat Richter, and I didn't have the thing that shows the green orb, so that was like, oh, this ending sucks. And I was like, oh no, you gotta do it, you gotta keep going. So fun twists, especially if I would have played this in the 90s and I would have had no idea that there was another ending. That's a really cool feature. Now, spoiler alert, when the whole castle flips and you have basically the whole game in mirror mode, it's cool, but at this point it was starting to overstay its welcome. It's, it's basically, it's the whole scenery upside down. So you're getting some new monsters, which is cool, but the scenery doesn't change, right? You're just seeing all of the rooms in reverse, and it felt like a little bit more of a chore to fill out the map all over again upside down. So maybe they did it for sake of time. It was a lot easier to double the game's time and length by just doubling it. I like that they brought Simon's Quest version into that, where you have to like find the pieces of Dracula to revive him and then kill him again. I don't understand how that works, but yeah, every mechanic about it is good. The whole weapon and item mechanic was a good idea that I felt was a bit poorly executed. I held on to so many weapons, shields, swords and stuff that were just completely useless. So there was all this random garbage everywhere through the castle that you didn't even want to use. On the flip side, in my last episode, I said that there were these random things that nobody, like Easter eggs and weird mechanics that you would never, people can't figure this stuff out on their own. I only discovered them because I was trophy hunting, trying to get all my trophies for the platinum, and I had to look these up, and some of these things were super obscure. Like there's one where you have to come back to a room over and over, and you watch these birds basically give birth to eggs, and then they hatch, and then they grow, and then the big birds fly away. Like you have a whole little history, like a little story in and of itself with these birds in a room off on the side of the screen. There's all these like little tidbits and Easter eggs. Then there's another thing where I got this rod, and basically I think it's called the shield rod, and it has a different effect based on which shield you have equipped, and you have to hit opposite buttons. That is very hard to do with one hand. You have to hit on the controller on this. You got square and circle. You have to hit those at the same time, and it just unleashes this crazy thing. And like, who would have figured that out on their own? Shoutouts to Kevin for letting me know that was a thing that you could do. It really helped me get through some bosses before I got my sword of OP. So overall, there was a lot of cool Easter eggs. It was a very just fun game, very different than all the other stuff. And I think, we're going to be getting into a lot more of that different kind of Castlevania. This is the part where Castlevania just kind of opens its doors. The next ones I'm going to be getting into some 3D Castlevania soon. I know I said I wouldn't do that at the beginning of this, but at this point we're doing all of it. And then we're going to get into more Metroidvania and see how the Metroidvania formula opens up and expands and evolves over the next decade. So yeah, Symphony of the Night, you are the lead taco now because there's no other tacos. Rondo of Blood, you're going to be the top burger for now. The next ones I'm going to be getting into, we're going to be going into Castlevania Legends, which is the last game on the Game Boy. Then I'm getting into the Nintendo 64 3D games, which is, they're kind of the same game from what I hear. And then we're getting into the Game Boy Advance Castlevanias, followed by the DS Castlevanias. And we're going to keep working our way through anything that has Castlevania in the title. So I'll see you on the next Castlevania Diaries, and until then, keep it classy.